This one. This one. Do we remember this one? If you weren't here for part one, well, really, if you weren't here when I did this cabinet, I will link to that video down below, and you may even be watching some of that footage right now. This was the Copycat challenge, and I chose to copycat Marissa from Miss Flips. I was ultimately trying to get a cool Art Deco vibe situation, and as you can see, things failed miserably. But they didn't, because now we have today's video, and in today's video I am gonna peel as much of this paint off as I can get, and then I'm gonna take my revenge out on this cabinet. As my friend Melanie over at Colored Caboose Creations said, yes, I'm getting my revenge today. The acrylic paint totally played me. Well, okay, let's not go there. I played myself by thinking I could use acrylic paint in this way after putting a top coat on this piece, and no, just no all day long. Unfortunately, this is not gonna stay, and it's pulled off some of the actual faux. This wood graining here is a faux finish that I did to start, which is why I top coated. Just go watch that video. This video will be linked at the end of that video in case you didn't see that video yet. Then you can come back and watch this part, or you can just watch me get some revenge on a cabinet right now. Now you're the strongest substance in the world. Come on now. Hey, acrylic paint. There we go. Oh, all right, that was fun. But like, I shouldn't have to scrape at it. You really? So now you'll have the strongest hold in the world. I'm pulling off the faux. Come on now. I mean, I'm doing that anyway, but hello. Be. Yep, that's gonna do the trick. I think you get what I'm doing here. I'm gonna keep going and get the other side, and I'll tag back in when all this gold paint is on the floor. And so ends that experiment, which means it's time for another. But I'm not making mistakes or taking chances this time around. I want things to really stick. So I washed everything with Palmolive dish soap, wiped it down with some clean water, and I dried the cabinet to prep it for paint. Okay, I am starting to mix paint, but I wanted to give you all a little preview here of the colors that I'm going to be using. They're all chalk paints, and they're all this Hello Hobby brand, which I got from Walmart, except the one Craftsmart, which is white, and that's just going to be used to tone or whatnot. So I'm creating paint colors to go with my Swamp Witch cabinet, If you didn't see this video, I will totally link this below. It's one of my favorite videos and projects that I've ever done. It was the Halloween challenge, so much fun. Anyway, this is mine and I keep this in my workshop, so I'm hoping to do the same with this cabinet. And I'm gonna use this as the inspiration, but I'm actually gonna like fully embrace the Copycat challenge aspect of what I originally did on this piece. And I'm gonna do a little copycatting of Sarah over at Vintage and Painted, and also, who else am I copycatting in this one? Oh, Crys'Dawna. Yeah, Crys'Dawna over at Renovare. Those two ladies do texture like nobody's business, and I'm hoping to pull some of that off on this cabinet. So, super smooth right now, but that's what the baking soda's for. Yeah. Anyway, I'm hoping to mix somewhat similar colors to these color tones here on this cabinet. And then I'm going to do something similar. No vines though, and I'm not doing any of the like Halloween related accoutrement that's on there, all those decorative elements. I'm not doing anything with copper, and I'm definitely not doing anything with foam because, as you can see, maybe it's starting to like chip and peel. This broke off entirely. Yeah, not awesome. Oh, there she goes. That's okay. I was fully intending to pull these off eventually anyway. I knew it wouldn't last forever, so that's why I'm not doing that on this one, but I am gonna get started mixing paint, and I thought maybe you'd like to, you know, come along on the adventure for doing that. So yeah, let's go. So I got mixing. I used completely arbitrary amounts of baking soda, paint, and even some water to get the consistency and colors that I was looking for. And for this first layer, I went thick. I am fully embracing the texture love on this piece. Anyway, I scraped most of the mix into a different container, but I left a little bit behind in the bowl. That way I could use some of this previous shade to create my next color. And I created 3 total colors, which will really give me 9 or even more shades and tones as I mix and blend these colors together. If you want more detail on how I do this finish, I will link to my Swamp Witch cabinet video below. I went right in with the next color, but these are in no particular order other than the lightest shade just happened to be the thinnest. That made it great for pulling and blending into the first color, and it gave really good slip for the third color, which I also applied right away using the exact same brush without cleaning it in between. Then I left the cabinet to dry. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. It's like a lighter version of the same tones as the cabinet. Okay, yes, that's exactly what I was going for. I mean, I'm not surprised I got it because these are the paint colors that I used for my cabinet, so yeah. It was always gonna mix in nicely. I'm a little shocked that I actually got a really good vibe in just the first coat. So let's turn this one on too. You can see the top a little bit too. Yeah, look, they're gonna look really good like next to each other, or at least near each other in my workroom. So this is great. It's not fully dry. It is still a little cool in some spots, but it's dry enough for my needs. I want it to look real distressed. This is real distressed, and I'm going for similar vibes. So yep, pretty psyched. All right, I'm gonna get started, and You saw me do that first coat with stippling. This one, I'm not gonna do as much stippling. I'm also gonna make much more watery versions of my paint colors, and they don't have to be exactly the same. That's really not a big deal here because I want this to be really ruined and destroyed, layered and distressed. So I'm just gonna get to it, and yeah, I'm putting you in high speed action, as I like to say. Oh yeah, also, if you haven't seen this video yet, the Spring Clean Challenge, I will link to that down below and at the end of the video because that was so much fun to do as well. But yep, anyway, getting back to today's, let's go. So for the top colors, I wanted them as close as possible to the Swamp Witch cabinet, but just in different shades and tones. This cabinet will be the lighter, less dark version of that dresser makeover. Once I had things mixed, I just went for it. I used paint and water back and forth in thin or thick layers, just whatever felt right at the time. The piece was pretty well saturated by that point, so I left it to dry for the night. Okay, that was a definite lie. I for sure came back out here to see what it looked like this afternoon. Now that it's dry, I mean, it's mostly dry. It's not completely dry even still, because like I said, it was pretty thick on there, but I love it. It's exactly what I wanted. It's like almost as edgy as its older sister because it sometimes listens to The Cure, but it's still kind of peppy. I wanted to make sure I protect the weirdness, so I used a coat of folk art wax in clear. I've used this stuff a bunch of times before and I really like the finish. I don't have to heavily buff it to get a satin sheen, especially when I use a lot of thick and thin layers of chalk paint like this. The paint will be really thick. That will soak up a good amount of wax, so I went in somewhat heavy and I removed any excess, or I, went and spread it out as I went. And while I finish this up, I want to take a second to thank everyone who has bought me a coffee recently. Thank you so much. I'm never good about remembering to mention my Buy Me a Coffee link, but it's in the video description if you want to contribute and help me purchase some small tools in the near future. I'm saving up for a planer and a router, and I really appreciate all of your support.
On my original cabinet, I added that layer of grunge with a coat of black acrylic, super watered down, and then I squeezed it over the surface using a sea sponge. But I think something that dark and heavy would throw off the color tones that I wanted for this piece. So instead, I actually used black wax from Jolie to give this a bit more grunge, but keep most of the tones coming through. Just like with the clear wax, I brushed it on and then I wiped back the excess immediately. I went across the whole piece, then I left it to dry and cure while I figured out what to do with the inside.
Alright, so I need a back for this thing, and I don't really have anything that's going to be right, unfortunately. So I'm going to use something that you're probably all going to think is super wrong, but I don't care because it's really just going to be like an experiment, and I'll use it as like a sample board. This is Elmer's foam board. I've had this for 100 years. I don't even know if this is available anymore in any way, shape, or form, but it's just foam core. So it's got the coated front and back, and it's foam on the inside, super lightweight and whatnot. And I really think that this is going to just be the best back that I can possibly do. I'm going to try to emulate the finish, but I'm not gonna stress out if it's not perfectly perfect, and then I'll most likely just hot glue it onto the back so that way I can change it out whenever I want to. Yeah, anyway, so, you know, just another one of my fun, crazy adventures, but hopefully you're, all ready to come along with me. So I'm gonna go in some high speed for you and let's see what happens.
I started with the cabinet on its back on top of the foam core, and I traced the general shape onto the board. Then with a brand new X-Acto blade, I cut as close to that line as possible, but I didn't cut all the way through. I actually did that on purpose so the paint won't saturate the edge. I roughly mixed similar colors to the cabinet base coat, and I used a stippling motion to add the paint to the board. Using the same brush, I went in with each coat right away, just like I did on the cabinet, and I sprayed everything with a light mist of water so it didn't fully saturate. Once I was done with all three colors, I left it to dry for a few hours. While I attach the back with some hot glue, I just want to say thanks for being here and watching today. And I have to know what you think about the before and after of this cabinet. I know the faux was pretty cool, but I'm really loving that this finish is making a comeback in my workshop. And I'm happy to have it for as long as it lasts. Considering this cabinet lives in my workshop, I don't expect it to last forever, but I'm pretty sure it's going to last for a long time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. You know, 60% of my viewers are not subscribed, and if you've made it this far, come on, click on the button. I like to do all kinds of crazy fun furniture makeovers, weird art, and faux finishing around here, and I would love to have you join the party. Stay tuned for my full before and after shots. I think you're gonna be kinda blown away. But that's all I've got for now. Thanks again. Later, peeps.
Welcome back, peeps. Today's video is gonna be all about getting my revenge on this cabinet. You can't see me. You can't see me. I know you can't. Okay, let's do that again then. You definitely can't see me. That was probably about 3 minutes, right, of rambling, so pretty much, yeah, not bad, 3:20.